Today I want to invite you on a deep journey into your inner world, a journey that'll let you uncover parts of yourself you might not even know exist, or that you chose to ignore at some point just to survive life's challenges. This journey is inspired by the teachings of Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who explored the mysteries of the human psyche like few others. For Jung, the unconscious wasn't just a storage bin for repressed memories. It was a vast universe filled with symbols, archetypes, and energies that shape how you perceive and experience reality. One of the most significant aspects he talked about is the inner child, that part of you that holds on to the innocence, curiosity, and wonder you had as a kid, but also carries the wounds that formed in those early years. You might be wondering why the inner child matters so much and what it has to do with reclaiming your power. In Jung's view, power isn't about controlling others or racking up material success. It's about that vital energy that drives you to live authentically, with passion and purpose. Reclaiming your power means reconnecting with your essence, who you really are, and what you truly want to bring into this world. The problem is that power often gets trapped in past experiences, traumas, hurts, disappointments, and painful moments from childhood that we couldn't process properly, either because we didn't have the emotional maturity or because our environment didn't give us the care and love we needed. When those wounds go unaddressed, they get stored in the unconscious and keep sending quiet messages that influence your attitudes, relationships, and how you interpret life's events. Have you ever wondered why you keep repeating patterns that cause you pain, even when you swear you won't fall into them again? Maybe you've noticed that when a relationship gets tough, you react with an intensity that catches you off guard. Or perhaps, every time you face rejection or feel ignored, a voice inside says, "You're not enough. You don't deserve love," or "You'll always be abandoned." That voice is often the echo of your wounded inner child, still seeing the world through the lens of those painful moments when it felt unprotected, powerless, and unable to express what was going on inside. Carl Jung emphasized the importance of integration and individuation. For him, life was a journey of self-discovery aimed at reaching wholeness by consciously connecting with all parts of ourselves. We can't just stick to our adult, rational, productive side. That would mean denying other essential psychological dimensions. The inner child is one of those dimensions. It can be the source of our spontaneity, creativity, and genuine joy, but also our fear and vulnerability. Reconnecting with it is a key step to healing old traumas, accepting our emotions, and ultimately reclaiming the energy that's been stuck for years, maybe even decades. When we talk about the inner child, we're not referring to a literal entity, but a collection of memories, emotions, and perceptions from childhood that are still active in our psyche. This inner child speaks to you in different ways. Sometimes it shows up as a longing for freedom and play. Other times, it comes through sadness, tears, or anger that feels disproportionate to the situation. The goal isn't to push it down even more, but to listen with compassion, recognize what it needs, and give it the love and safety it might not have gotten back then. For Jung, healing our wounds means bringing them into awareness, shining a light on what's been hidden in the shadows of the unconscious because it's too painful or unsettling. That area, which Jung called the shadow, isn't just where our negative or unacceptable impulses live. It's also a space holding unexplored treasures, like potential we've never let ourselves tap into. With the inner child, the work is about illuminating the experiences that shaped us, understanding their impact, and giving ourselves permission to feel what we couldn't feel back then, without judgment or pushing ourselves beyond what's humanly possible. It might sound painful, and honestly, it is. But here's the paradox. By facing that pain and acknowledging it, we start a process of liberation. What hurts isn't just the wound itself. It's the effort of keeping it hidden and the energy we spend covering up its symptoms. When we stand face to face with that vulnerable part of ourselves, we realize we're not breaking apart. We're opening a path to reconnect deeply with our identity. Many thinkers following Jung have said it. True maturity is about learning to care for our inner child, not pretending it doesn't exist. You might be wondering how to actually do this healing in practice. There's no one-size-fits-all magic formula, but there are practices and mindsets that can make a big difference. First, it's crucial to create an inner environment of compassion and self-acceptance. This is a cornerstone of Jung's work, recognizing that our psyche is made of light and shadow, and both deserve to be part of our experience. It's not about judging or criticizing your inner child. It's about listening to what it's trying to say. Sometimes it's as simple as sitting quietly, closing your eyes, and asking that child, "What do you need? What are you feeling?" Then pay attention to the sensations that come up, the memories that surface, without blocking them or running away. That's how you start an inner dialogue that can become the key to your transformation. Another way to begin healing is to tap into creative or playful activities that reconnect you with your childhood. Did you love painting, singing, or writing stories as a kid? Giving yourself permission to pick those hobbies back up, even symbolically, can unlock doors that have been shut for years. Why does this work? Because our adult selves, weighed down by daily pressures, tend to see these things as a waste of time or immature. But for the inner child, nothing's more valuable than play and creativity. In those moments, you're telling that part of you that its likes, passions, and imagination matter and have a place in your life now. Sometimes the inner child took on guilt that wasn't theirs to carry. Maybe you grew up in a tense family situation and, without fully understanding what was happening, concluded it was your fault that mom and dad fought, split up, or didn't pay attention to you. From Jung's perspective, it's vital to separate those childhood interpretations from reality. A child doesn't have the perspective or tools to grasp the complexity of adult relationships, so they often internalize others' pain as their own. That guilt can turn into a wound that shows up in adulthood as low self-esteem, emotional dependency, or even a fear of closeness. To heal it, you need to challenge that belief and realize you're not to blame for your parents' struggles or the family dynamics that played out around you. Forgiveness plays a huge role here. It's not necessarily about excusing those who hurt you. It's about freeing yourself from the anger or resentment trapped in your psyche. When we talk about the inner child, we're talking about a vulnerable part that saw the world through a kid's eyes. That child hurts when it feels unloved, ignored, or rejected. Burying that wound in a forgotten corner of your soul only drags out the suffering. Forgiving doesn't mean saying, "What you did was okay." It's saying, "I see what happened, I understand how it hurt me, but I'm choosing to let go of this pain so I can move forward." Often, we first need to forgive ourselves for believing we were responsible for what happened. Only then can we extend that compassion to those who hurt us, recognizing they had their own wounds and limits too. Jung pointed out that this healing journey isn't about getting stuck in the past. It's about bringing awareness to the experiences that have been sabotaging your present. By shedding light on that past, you open up a freer, less conditioned future. It's a challenging process because it involves a kind of descent into the depths of the unconscious, where not just the wounded child lives, but also other parts we might not like admitting to, like anger, envy, or bitterness. But Jung insisted that what we deny ends up controlling us from the shadows, while what we integrate becomes power and wisdom. In that sense, healing the inner child is one of the most effective ways to take back the power the unconscious has over our lives, without us even realizing it. Along the way, you'll probably run into emotions that make you uncomfortable. Sadness, shame, anger, or the loneliness you felt as a kid might flood in. Remember that back then, that child couldn't handle those feelings and likely buried them. Now, as an adult, you have the chance to do what you couldn't then. Acknowledge, hold, and transform those emotions into strength. Every time you let yourself feel what comes up without judgment, you're sending a message to that child. This time, you're not alone. This time, I'm here to listen and take care of you. That's incredibly powerful. That's where a big part of the magic of psychological healing lies, according to Jung. in the willingness to love and protect the parts of us that were hurt and often ignored. Jung also talked a lot about archetypes, those universal images in the collective unconscious. The archetype of the divine child, for example, represents renewal, hope, and the pure potential inside all of us. When our inner child is wounded, that archetype can get blocked. We become cynical, distrustful, or overly rational, losing our ability to marvel at life and trust in the future. But when we start healing, that divine child wakes up, reminding us that life's an infinite mystery and we can always be reborn into a brighter reality. Reconnecting with that archetype doesn't just heal us, it helps us tap into an inner strength that goes beyond our personal story and links us to something bigger. As you move forward on this path, you might notice your relationships shifting. It's common that, as you bring light to those wounded parts of your psyche, how you connect with others evolves. Maybe you'll realize you used to lean on partners emotionally, looking to them for the validation and love you didn't get as a kid. Or perhaps you'll see that, out of fear of being hurt again, you kept people at arm's length and avoided closeness. As you heal those wounds, you start relating from a more authentic, secure place. You're not desperately trying to fill voids or building unbreakable walls to block out love. That directly boosts your quality of life. Relationships become more honest, deeper, and more fulfilling. Healing and integrating your inner child is also tied to the idea of being your own parent. This isn't about replacing your real experiences. It's about consciously adopting a protective, nurturing attitude toward yourself. If you didn't get enough love as a kid, you can give it to yourself now. If you lacked guidance, you can guide yourself with wisdom. If no one celebrated your wins, you can learn to acknowledge and cheer yourself on for every step you take. This is one of the most powerful lessons from Jungian psychology. The more we take responsibility for our own care, the less we look outside for what only we can give ourselves inside. And oddly enough, by doing that, we also become more open to receiving the genuine love and respect we deserve from others. It might sound contradictory, but Jung showed us that true freedom and maturity come when we let ourselves be vulnerable. The inner child is vulnerable by nature. It's the part of us that still remembers what it's like to open up to the world without masks or defenses. Sometimes, what holds us back is the fear of reliving past pain, of being hurt, abandoned, or criticized again. But when we integrate that child, we discover vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the essence of humanity that connects us to ourselves and others. That's where real strength comes from, not from armor or shields, but from the courage to be who we truly are. This journey doesn't happen overnight. It takes patience and sometimes professional help. A lot of people find therapy super helpful, especially approaches rooted in Jungian ideas or methods that focus on the inner child. In a safe, guided space, you can explore those memories, emotions, and patterns with the right support. But even if you go it alone, there are simple practices that can make a big difference. Taking a few minutes a day to meditate, visualize, or journal about what you're feeling can open that inner door. For example, try closing your eyes and picturing yourself meeting your 5 or 6-year-old self. Notice their expression, their posture, their energy. Ask them how they feel, what they need, how you can help. You might be surprised by how much comes up when you dare to listen. On this path, you'll also realize how much power you'd handed over to past experiences, power in the form of resentment, fear, or dependency. Working with your inner child helps you take that power back because you see that, despite what happened, you now have the ability to rewrite your inner story, see yourself differently, and approach the present from a place of conscious choice. That's the big reward of this journey, an emotional freedom born from deeply knowing your wounds and turning them into something new. You don't erase the past, you embrace it as part of your story, taking what's valuable and letting go of the pointless suffering that ties you to old patterns. If you think about it, this process is a lot like Jung's concept of individuation, integrating all parts of your psyche to become who you really are. For too long, you might have tried to fix yourself with discipline, forcing new habits, or repeating positive affirmations that didn't quite sink in. But when you connect with your inner child, you get to the root of what hurts and drives your actions. That's when transformation stops being surface level and becomes deep and lasting. Jung liked to say, "What you resist persists, and what you accept transforms you." By accepting and loving your inner child, you transform in ways that show up in your self-esteem, your worldview, and your ability to build healthier relationships. The magic of this shift also shows up in your daily life. Maybe you'll notice that instead of snapping at a hurtful comment, you can pause and ask, "Who's reacting here? My confident adult self or my inner child feeling rejected?" In that moment, you become aware of where the reaction's coming from and can choose to validate the emotion without letting it take over. Instead of lashing out or running away, you can tend to that hurt part of you, give it space to breathe, and then respond more consciously. That can make a huge difference in your inner peace and the quality of your connections. Healing your inner child also boosts your relationship with your dreams and life purpose. Maybe as a kid, you had clear aspirations or boundless creativity, but over time, responsibilities, fears, and outside criticism silenced that inner voice pushing you to explore. As you heal old wounds, you reconnect with that spark and that belief in what's possible. You stop censoring yourself or thinking it's too late to chase what inspires you. Your inner child reminds you it's never too late to play, to dare, to seek new adventures, and to do what truly lights you up. You might hit some resistance along the way. Part of you might not want to dig up the past, preferring to stick with routine and not complicate things. But behind that resistance is usually fear. Fear of reliving pain, fear of realizing the life you've built is based on defenses you don't need anymore. Fear of change itself. Change is inevitable if you want to grow and heal, though. The more you resist, the longer the suffering lingers. But if you face that fear with the conviction that a fuller, brighter version of yourself is waiting on the other side, you can handle the discomfort and move forward with courage. One of Jung's big teachings is that the psyche naturally leans toward healing and self-realization. It's like we've got an inner doctor that knows what we need to heal and grow. By becoming aware of our wounds and shadows, we're teaming up with that inner force and letting it work through us. That conscious partnership with our inner wisdom is the foundation of real transformation. That's why, on the healing path, you might start noticing synchronicities, meaningful coincidences, or people who help you take the steps you need. Jung called these synchronicities, events that seem random but are actually symbolic expressions of what's happening inside. When you work with your inner child, you might find the universe seems to respond, offering clues and opportunities you might have missed before. The energy you reclaim by healing your inner child shows up in your vitality, your sense of wonder, and your openness to life. You start feeling genuine joy in things you used to take for granted. You let yourself play, laugh, and dream without the weight of "what will people think?" or constant self-criticism. Even your everyday challenges get easier because you're not facing them just from rigid adulthood. You've got the creativity and flexibility you had as a kid. This doesn't mean becoming immature or irresponsible. It's about blending the best of both worlds, adult wisdom and discernment with childhood freedom and imagination. As you go through this, surround yourself with understanding people who respect and support you. Sometimes that means rethinking your social circles and stepping away from environments that keep your wounds alive or don't validate your growth. It's not selfish, it's taking responsibility for your well-being and evolution. And if the pain or memories that come up feel too intense, getting help from a therapist or guide experienced in Jungian work can be a game changer. It's the difference between getting stuck in suffering or moving past it. Another powerful tool Jung loved is keeping a dream journal. Dreams are a gateway to the unconscious, a stage where your inner child shadows and symbols play out freely. Writing down your dreams each morning and reflecting on their images, characters, and emotions can give you huge insights into what your psyche's trying to tell you. It's like the unconscious speaks in metaphors and nighttime stories. And by paying attention, you make that healing dialogue easier. A lot of what your inner child can't say when you're awake might show up in your dreams. Sometimes literally, sometimes symbolically. As you dig deeper, you can also use affirmations or meditations focused on unconditional love for yourself. Phrases like, I see you, I hear you, I value you, directed to your inner child, can be really healing. Affirmations alone won't always fix trauma, but they're a daily reminder of the new relationship you're building with yourself, one based on love, protection, and the emotional validation you might have missed as a kid. Repeating these positive statements helps counter old beliefs of lack or unworthiness that took root in childhood. Another key point Jung stressed is how individuation matters not just for you, but for everyone around you. Every time someone heals their inner child and gets more aware of their inner workings, it ripples out positively. By shifting how you communicate, attach, and react, you affect your friends, partner, kids, co-workers. You become a model of authenticity and courage for others who might be carrying their own unresolved wounds. In a world where so many people are disconnected from themselves and each other, your healing can be a beacon that inspires others to look inward and commit to their own growth. When you finally start feeling at peace with your inner child, you might experience a kind of rebirth. Suddenly, situations that used to stress you out don't hit the same way. You notice you can say no without guilt, or ask for what you need without feeling selfish. You see your relationships fill with mutual respect and connection, and your creativity flows naturally. That's when you get, on a deep level, what Jung was driving at. By lighting up your shadows, you free the power trapped in them. Reclaiming your power doesn't mean becoming invincible or problem-free. It means living in tune with your inner needs, values, and gifts. It's choosing freely instead of reacting from wounds. It's recognizing your worth beyond others' opinions or external circumstances. When your inner child feels loved and cared for, a genuine self-esteem emerges, not from arrogance, but from knowing you deserve to exist and be happy just because you are. This healing journey is all about process. Everyone's got their own pace, challenges, and ways of learning. You might see quick progress and then feel like you're slipping back, but it's not really a step back. It's part of integrating. Sometimes, right before a big leap in awareness, old resistances or patterns you thought you'd beaten pop up, like the unconscious is testing if you're ready to move forward. Don't get discouraged when that happens. It's a natural part of personal growth. Trust that with patience, consistency, and self-love, you'll see more and more solid results in your everyday life. When the road gets tough, remember that the love and compassion you didn't get as a kid, you can give yourself now. That's part of the power you're reclaiming, the ability to be your own source of comfort and security. Deep down, your inner child just wants to be seen, understood, and protected. And the adult you are today has the strength and tools to make that real. Every time you choose to listen, care, and respect yourself, you're healing not just your own wounds, but the traces left by the family and culture you grew up in. By transforming your life, you open the door to transforming the legacy you pass on to future generations. So if you're watching this video, it means something in you senses the need for this inner work. Lean into that call, that whisper saying, it's time to come home. Home is your own being, where a child might have been waiting a long time for you to open the door. Do it with courage, patience, and the belief that beyond the pain lies a vast space of light and potential. Healing your inner child isn't a finish line you cross, it's a relationship you nurture every day. Even after big breakthroughs, your inner child might feel scared or lonely sometimes. That's okay. What matters is, you now know how to hold and comfort it with your inner arms. Jung's legacy is an invitation to explore, to know yourself, and to integrate all your parts. As you step into this path, you become a conscious co-creator of your reality. You stop living at the mercy of unconscious patterns and take the reins of your destiny, not to force life into what you want, but to align with the deep wisdom inside you. That wisdom teaches that real strength comes from reconciling your most fragile parts. And true freedom blooms when you embrace your past with love instead of fighting it. Now that we've walked through all this, I invite you not to leave it as just theory. Put it into practice. Take some quiet time, today or in the next few days, to connect with your inner child. Ask what it needs, how you can honor it, what it's teaching you. Notice how your body reacts, what emotions come up, what memories surface. Maybe write it down, draw it, or just sit with it in meditation. If you stick with it, I promise you'll see profound shifts in your life. Those changes don't come from some external miracle. They come from the courage to look within and the choice to love all parts of yourself. If this message hit home, share it with someone you think might need to hear about healing their inner child. Sometimes, a simple act of sharing can spark transformation in someone else. Drop a comment too if you've got questions, experiences, or thoughts to add. We can build a community of support and growth together. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Every time you share, comment, or engage, you help this message reach more people who might need these words in their lives. I hope you'll give yourself the chance to start or dive deeper into this process from today on. It might feel scary at first, but trust your soul's wisdom, the one that brought you here and is pointing you back to yourself. You're not alone in this adventure. Many of us have been and still are reconnecting with our inner child. And though it can hurt sometimes, every tear and moment of discomfort is worth it, because on the other side is a fuller, truer, more love-filled life. Thanks for sticking with me this far. Remember that real strength comes when we embrace our vulnerabilities, when we let ourselves feel, and when, as Jung would say, we stop fueling the inner war to make way for unity. That's the great journey of human consciousness, and healing your inner child is one of the most beautiful doors we have to connect with our true essence and the power that's always been within us. Trust yourself, trust your process, and know that every step you take toward healing is a gift, not just for you, but for everyone around you and the world we share. Keep going with determination and love. Your inner child deserves to be heard, and you deserve to live with fullness and freedom. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.